Imagine this, it's a Friday night in America. No lines at Blockbuster, no late fees, no arguing over which DVD is still available. You sit down, open your laptop, and with one click, a movie starts playing instantly. That simple moment changed entertainment forever. But what most people don't realize is that the company behind it, Netflix, came dangerously close to ruining everything it built. This isn't just a story about streaming. It's a story about bold ideas, massive risks, ego, fear, and a near self-inflicted collapse. Netflix didn't just disrupt Hollywood, it rewired how the world consumes stories. And then it almost destroyed itself. Netflix started in 1997, back when the internet screamed instead of loaded. Reed Hastings and Mark Randolph weren't trying to reinvent television. They were just trying to fix a very specific pain point. Late fees. Reed Hastings once said the idea for Netflix came after he was charged $40 for returning a rented VHS tape late. Whether that exact moment happened or not, the frustration was real, and millions of Americans felt it. Back then, Blockbuster ruled the world. Over 9,000 stores, a cultural giant. Friday nights belonged to them. Netflix did the unthinkable. They said, what if you never had to go to a store at all? Instead of VHS tapes, Netflix mailed DVDs directly to your home. No due dates, no late fees, keep it as long as you want. It sounded risky, it sounded slow, and it sounded like it would never work. But it did. By the early 2000s, Netflix introduced a subscription model, unlimited rentals for a flat monthly fee. That single decision quietly changed consumer expectations forever. No penalties, no pressure, no stress. Customers loved it. Blockbuster laughed. In fact, in 2000, Netflix approached Blockbuster with an offer. Netflix wanted to sell itself for around $50 million. Blockbuster executives reportedly laughed them out of the room. That moment would become one of the biggest business mistakes in history. As broadband internet spread across America, Netflix noticed something critical before almost anyone else. People weren't just renting movies. They were watching them differently. Netflix began collecting data, what people watched, when they paused, when they stopped, what they binged. Slowly, quietly, Netflix started understanding viewers better than Hollywood ever had. Then came the real gamble. Streaming. In 2007, Netflix introduced instant streaming. At first, the catalog was tiny. The quality wasn't great, and many people didn't take it seriously. But Netflix knew this wasn't about today. It was about tomorrow. Streaming eliminated shipping costs. It removed physical limitations, and it gave Netflix something priceless, direct access to the viewer. No theaters, no TV schedules, no middlemen. By the early 2010s, Netflix wasn't just a rental company anymore. It was becoming a tech platform, and Hollywood was starting to panic. Then Netflix crossed a line that changed everything. They didn't just want to distribute content anymore. They wanted to create it. In 2013, Netflix released House of Cards. This wasn't just another show, it was a statement. Netflix spent over $100 million on 2 seasons before a single episode aired. That was unheard of. Networks usually tested pilots first. Netflix skipped that entirely. Why? Because the data told them it would work. David Fincher, Kevin Spacey, political drama, viewers who loved similar shows. Netflix didn't guess, they calculated. And America watched. House of Cards was a hit, so was Orange is the New Black. Then came Stranger Things, then Narcos, then The Crown. Netflix wasn't just competing with TV networks anymore. It was beating them at their own game. Binge-watching became normal. Entire seasons dropped at once. Water-cooler conversations changed. Appointment TV started to die. Hollywood had to adapt or fall behind. And for a while, Netflix looked unstoppable. Its stock soared, subscribers exploded. Studios licensed their content happily, unaware they were feeding a future rival. Netflix became the king of streaming. But power has a way of blinding even the smartest companies. Because while Netflix was changing the world, the cracks were already forming beneath the surface, and the decisions Netflix made next would push the company closer to the edge than anyone imagined. Success has a way of making smart companies believe they're untouchable. By the late 2010s, Netflix was riding high. Subscriber numbers were massive. Original content was everywhere. Awards were rolling in. And Silicon Valley saw Netflix not as a media company, but as a tech giant that had cracked human behavior. That confidence would soon turn into overconfidence. The first problem was money. Netflix's original content strategy was expensive, very expensive. Billions of dollars were being poured into movies and shows every year. To fund it, Netflix took on massive debt, betting that subscriber growth would never slow down. As long as people kept signing up, the math worked. But the world was changing. Hollywood woke up. Disney pulled its content to launch Disney+. Warner Bros. Created HBO Max. Amazon doubled down on Prime Video. Apple entered the streaming war with deep pockets and zero patience for losses. Suddenly, Netflix wasn't alone anymore. For the first time, viewers had options, and lots of them. Then came Netflix's biggest self-inflicted wound. In 2011, the company announced it would split its DVD-by-mail service and streaming into two separate subscriptions. Worse, they planned to spin off DVDs into a new company with a terrible name, Qwixter. Prices went up, confusion exploded, customers were furious. Netflix lost around 800,000 subscribers almost overnight. The backlash was brutal. Social media lit up. Headlines turned vicious. Wall Street panicked. Netflix's stock dropped nearly 75% in less than a year. Reed Hastings later admitted it was a disaster, and one that Netflix caused itself. But the real danger came years later. In 2022, Netflix did something unthinkable. It lost subscribers again. For the first time in over a decade, growth stalled and then reversed. Millions canceled, investors freaked out, the media smelled blood. The reason wasn't just competition. It was fatigue. People were overwhelmed. Too many shows, too many subscriptions, too many price increases. Netflix, once seen as the rebel, now felt like just another cable company, only digital. And then there was password sharing. For years, Netflix ignored it. In fact, they quietly encouraged it. Love is sharing a password, they joked. But when growth slowed, Netflix changed its tune. Cracking down on password sharing angered users. Price hikes followed. Loyalty eroded. The company that once felt consumer first now felt corporate. For a moment, it genuinely looked like Netflix might collapse under its own weight. And that's when the company made a choice. Adapt or die. Netflix shifted strategy. Instead of endless spending, it focused on efficiency. Fewer shows, bigger bets, global hits instead of niche experiments. They launched an ad-supported tier, something Reed Hastings once swore would never happen. But it worked. They leaned harder into international content. Squid Game proved that a Korean series could dominate American screens. Netflix stopped thinking like Hollywood and started thinking like the internet. They fixed recommendations, improved retention, focused on profitability instead of just growth. Slowly, the bleeding stopped. Netflix survived, not because it was perfect, but because it was willing to admit it was. And that might be the most important lesson in this entire story. Netflix didn't win because it invented streaming. It didn't win because it made great shows. Netflix won because it understood one thing better than anyone else. The moment you stop changing is the moment you start dying. Today, Netflix isn't just a company. It's a case study taught in business schools, a warning and a blueprint. It changed how America watches TV. It forced Hollywood to reinvent itself. It turned living rooms into theaters. And then it almost destroyed itself by forgetting why people loved it in the first place. Convenience, value, freedom. Netflix survived its near collapse, but the streaming war is far from over. The question isn't whether Netflix changed the world. The real question is this: in an industry built on disruption, how long can the disruptor stay on top before becoming the thing it once replaced? Because history has a way of repeating itself.